prepared yet.
You need to try and pick off the units as...
Look at the shields on the mark themselves.
Oh my god, the ball is gonna take him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Crossfire, and I bring you from Team Mouse Sports, it's Mana. He is in the blue trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the northeast of this particular map versus his opponent. Yes, indeed, Thermaltake Esports and Duckload's White Raw. He is in the red trunks, and he is also playing Protoss to the southwest.
Youth and good looks versus experience and age. This is the game on Crossfire we're going to be seeing, but will it just come down to a simple 4-gate? We do not know. I mean, 4-gate is still very viable on a lot of different maps, and as we've seen in many other large tournaments as well, that it's still very much viable, and if you are not careful with how you play, you could fall down quite fast.
Oh yes, you absolutely can, and Crossfire is a brutal map in a lot of different ways. There are several people that express their dislike for this particular map.
Yeah, they do, and I think in PvP it doesn't matter as much because the game doesn't usually drag on that long, that you don't really see a long dramatic PvP. It's usually ended rather fast. So I think the dynamic of people, the way they say they don't like Crossfire, doesn't really come into it in this map, and pretty much the table's open for this game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. This is going to be all or nothing. Of course, the importance of this match cannot be understated. Both of these guys are in the winners bracket finals. One of these guys will go down to the losers bracket. One is guaranteed a place in the grand final and a big prize on the line, even for getting second place in this tournament. And of course, if you win this matchup, you are guaranteed second place.
Indeed, and so far we've seen 13 gate by each player scouting at exact same time. They're going to cross in the middle of the map there, and gas timing nice and standard down on 15 as well. So nothing out of the ordinary net. We've seen White Raw throwing down another chrono boost, and likewise 4 mana.
Yes, indeed. There is the possibility of a 4-gate at any point, really, and it's difficult to determine at this kind of point whether a 4-gate is coming, honestly. Seeing the 1 gas, yes, that can be indicative of it. Seeing maybe saving Chrono Boost once the Cybernex core starts going up so that you can Chrono Boost that Cybernex core, that's another indicator. Seeing whether or not you go with an early unit coming out, that can also be another indicator. So we're still not 100% sure, but there's certainly a possibility of it.
And Mana actually gets us around on White Raw's probe here. So White Raw's scouting probe is out of the picture. Now Mana actually has a million plans from here. He can do whatever he wants to do because White Raw will not scout it. He won't see if he takes a fast gas. He won't say if he doesn't take gas. So right now, White Raw with a bit of a disadvantage, and he's going to open up with a very fast second gate, and we'll be looking to get Stalkers out here, usually 3, so he can actually go out, pressure, get rid of the scouting probe of Mana's here, and kind of hide his own build.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea to say the least, and as you've said, Mana does have this slight advantage now. StarCraft 2 is, as much as anything, an information war, and when it comes down to information, Mana has more of it than his opponent right now, and he'll even get away with that probe as well. There's no way to really shut that down. Aside from that, this second gateway from White Raw could indicate the 3 Stalker build, which we've seen before, which is designed to shut down any kind of early 4 gateway aggression. We could still be seeing that from Mana, honestly. I mean, he is chrono boosting there, but he does have 2 assimilators, and they're both working, so it does indicate that it will not be an aggressive 4-gate at this point.
No, it looks like neither player is going to 4-gate. They're up to 34 supply now, and it looks like Mana's throwing down 1 gateway. Will be throwing down a second one as well. Looks like it's going to be followed up by 2 gateways in total now, 3. And on White Raw's behalf, nothing been added on yet, and he is moving out in a little bit of a skirmish here.
Yes, indeed. Through to the middle, and White Raw, needless to say, is lacking in terms of his firepower, but it's really going to come down to a micro battle right here as he charges right at the Stalker, and he picks it off. Very nice play there by White Raw, and he's out of there as well, unless that probe can get a good nibble at the heels of the Stalker, and it's going to get shut down right there by second reinforcements, and now White Raw with a good bit of momentum.
Indeed he is, and he's throwing down a robotics facility behind this, actually. And at the same time, we are seeing a robotics facility going down for Mana as well. Though White Raw's is going to be a little bit faster because he decided to get that before the 3rd gateway, where Mana got the 3rd gateway first. So there's a bit of a timing window now for Mana to get another extra wave of units through that extra gateway and could put pressure back onto White Raw. The thing is, White Raw's tech's going to be ahead. He's going to have an Immortal out faster if he decides to go for it. He'll have the robotics bay down faster also.
I have to wonder, just because of the distance of this particular map, whether or not that Immortal will make a difference in an offensive scenario. I would think that by the time perhaps it gets over to Mana Space, he could have an Immortal of his own if he chooses to go over that particular route. It will, of course, give him a scouting advantage. That early Observer, which is coming out right now, and is even being chrono boosted, so that's going to be out really fast. And that's straight into Robotics Bay right here for White Ra.
Yeah, White Ra's going straight for it. He's skipping the Immortal. He's going for it, and Mana, is going for the Immortal now. Mana's taking the more defensive route, is going to get that Immortal out to be safe, and that's what White Ra can afford to do right now. He has complete map control, even though he lost it early on with that, with the probe. He did manage to win the skirmish in the middle of the map, and he's got complete vision of everything that's going on, and is able just to shoot straight up for Colossus now. Is going to start making his first one very, very shortly from now, but the question is Mana going to throw down his Robotics Bay, or will he add on another Immortal?
If he does that on another Immortal, he could be in a little bit of trouble, honestly. Immortals, yes, they do a lot of damage against Colossus, but Colossus generally have the range advantage, and while they're both very, very slow units, the Colossus is a little bit more maneuverable thanks to its cliff walking ability. White Ra saves up a lot of chrono boost and is now injecting it directly into that robotics facility, perhaps looking to apply a pressure with one Colossus. Isn't looking to get the upgrade just yet. He could, certainly. There's nothing really stopping him from doing that. He does now have what he needs to make that happen, and we'll see whether or not it comes in from him. He's got a proxy pylon to the left-hand side of this map. It's not exactly in what I call the ideal position right now. There's already almost one Colossus right now on the field for White Ra, and once that comes in, that's going to make a big difference in this attack. Yeah,
and he's going to start making another one straight away now. The problem is for Mana, he still has no idea what's going on. He's trying to send out a probe to see what army composition is out there. He needs to get his Observer on the move as well, and I'm sure White Ra will not let him get anywhere near White Ra's base as he picks off that probe nice and early. Mana still in the complete dark right now, and it's going to be quite hard from here.
Once again, it's information warfare, ladies and gentlemen. The Observer did not spot that proxy pylon to the west of Mana's base. That could prove to be critical. It's a good reinforcement point, a little bit out of the way, but honestly, the distance between that and the ramp is not that large at all. Crossfire is not a big map. It just appears that way simply due to the fact that you have to cross through all of these narrow choke points in the middle in order to reach your opponent's base by land. Extended Thermal Lance coming up for both players right now. However, the Colossus count remains firmly in the hands of White Ra. He is looking perhaps to attack with two Colossus, now building a third. We'll see just how long he decides to hang on to this Colossus advantage. As of course, if he waits too long, he could end up going into a fight where he doesn't have a critical number versus his opponent. And of course, his opponent has the home ground advantage, able to warp in units directly into the fight.
And Mana's scout did see that the Robotics Bay and Colossus are in production now. He doesn't really know the count, though. He hasn't scouted out the exact amount now, and he may think it's just one, may two. Oh, no, actually, White Ra trying to pick off the Observer on the left-hand side of the map, but the Observer does manage to survive. And now White Ra's Thermal Lance is very close to finishing now. There's a bit of a timing window to attack before Mana's Thermal Lance finishes, but will White Ra stay back and defend, or will he look for a push? I think he's going to wait for a third, fourth Colossus and then go.
That's an interesting maneuver, and Mana moving into a forward defensive position right here on the top of this cliff. Needs to take control of that Xelnaga watchtower, honestly, and he hasn't done that just yet. White Ra now moving out, and that's a bit critical because Mana's not going to have any early warning of this attack. He's not going to be able to prepare his positioning unless he takes this Xelnaga tower, which he is not doing. White Ra with a forward pylon right now, taking control of the other side of the Xelnaga, and still hasn't taken it. This could be absolutely critical.
And Mana's thrown down an expansion now. 400 minerals down the drain. He's not going to have them in units. And now a probe does scout. White Ra coming through. Mana has to force back, has to get in a thin line of position to get ready to accept this attack, because it's definitely coming. White Ra building pylons in the middle of the map. Will build another one closer to Mana's base, ready for reinforcement. Mana struggling to get into position in time because this wave from White Ra, more units being reinforced from that left-hand side pylon as well. And he's going to be going in very, very shortly here.
White Ra has a critical advantage in terms of the size of his army right now. He has 6 more Zealots than his opponent. While he is lacking an Immortal, he has an additional Colossus. He's got 2 more Stalkers than his opponent. He doesn't have a Sentry, but that 1 Sentry won't make a huge amount of difference against a force of this size. The force fields would have to be perfect to block off those Zealots, and it seems very unlikely, particularly with this large area of engagement. And here we go. This is what's going to define this entire matchup right here. The Immortal taking big fire, shields already collapsing on that one. The Zealots taking a massive amount of damage right here as Mana rains it down on them. However, with the superior firepower of White Rice forcing Mana all the way back into the corner, Stalker's taking a lot of damage right here from the Colossus. They've been cut into pieces, and now Mana is relying on 4 Colossi alone. That's all he's got. He most likely will end up sacrificing this Nexus. He can't defend it. He's raining down a lot of firepower right here from the cliff on those Stalkers. He's able to take a good number. However, White Rod's Colossus is what's going to be the big threat. 1 down right here. White Rod keeps his alive. 2nd one down. 3rd. That, as far as I'm concerned, is it. There is nothing Mana can do from this point to actually defend. He doesn't have the numbers, and White Ra, with excellent micro and positioning, keeps all 4 of his Colossi alive.
Expansion goes down now as well. Pylon's going down 50 supply versus 79. And not only did White Ra have the force, the power within his army, he had double the amount of Zealots. So literally his army survived for twice as long as Mana's. And unfortunately, Mana now on the back foot within this game.
There's really no way he can come back from this. I know we like to try and make it as dramatic as possible, but Mana is effectively screwed. He's only got 1 Warp Gate left. He only has 2 Colossus left. It would take a miracle. Additional reinforcements streaming in right here for White Ra, who wants to make this count. He wants to make this good. Mana with an excellent defense takes out 2 Colossi, takes out a 3rd, and you might think that that would be it, but it won't be. White Ra will be able to crush him right here. A brave defense, a stalwart defense, demonstrating exceptional skill. However, unfortunately for Mana, that, as they say, is that, and White Ra remains in the winner's bracket, going through to the grand final of the IGN Pro League Season 2.
White Ra on the verge of taking another large tournament again. Great game that was, and it really does show you how hard it is to expand in this matchup in PvP, because as soon as you do, you lose 4 Zealots, basically 400 minerals from that Nexus, which could have been 4 Zealots, which would have helped out a lot in that fight. And it wasn't just the expansion too, it was having to build that Immortal, which didn't help out whatsoever in that ending fight.
No, it really, really did not. It sat at the back getting pounded on by the Colossus, and of course Immortal Shields don't work that well against Colossi due to their double attack and relatively low AoE damage. Whatever the case, that was, as they say, that, and White Ra powering his way through, the veteran Protoss player, now in the grand finals of the IGN Pro League Season 2, poised to take his biggest win ever. We'll have to see whether or not he can pull that off in the grand finals. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Vince Biscuit.
And I'm Diapollo.
And we will see you next time.